Okay. I see you.
Yeah, I can see it.
And we welcome everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes. Okay. Well, it's noon, so I'm going to formally welcome everyone to the International Institute of New England and our webinar today to give you a little bit more information and insight and here's some feedback about our work. We're going to talk today about the impact of refugee work on New England's economic recovery, strengthening the future of our communities. And I have with me, my name's Alexandra Weber, or Zan Weber. I'm the Institute's Chief Institutional Advancement Officer, and spent many, many years in programs, and now are devoting most of my time to building resources for those programs. And I have with me today, Cubana Alexis. I would love for him to introduce himself.
Thank you, Zan. My name's Alex Cubana. I'm the Skills Training Manager at the International Institute of New England in Boston and Metro North. Welcome all to this webinar.
Thank you so much, Cubana. Cubana and I have worked together for several years, and we are so excited to bring you a part of that work and to share some of that today. I wanted to just set the stage by just giving a brief overview of the International Institute and our work, although many of you are familiar, and also talk a little bit about refugee resettlement. And then Cubana is going to talk about our employment programming and really what is a two-way impact of the pandemic on both refugees have been impacted and refugees have impacted our communities in positive ways during this pandemic. And then we're going to talk specifically about two of the Institute's career pathways, and many may know, many may not. We have employment services that we deliver. We're working every day to get refugees and other populations, immigrant populations, really prepared for the US workforce. But then we have some extended training programs that are really addressing some of the industries, in New England industries' greatest needs. So Cubana is going to talk about our construction, trade, and building maintenance program. And I'm going to talk about our certified nursing assistance program. And these are both programs that are pretty new to the Institute, involve a lot of collaborations with partners, and have had just really incredible early success. So we're really excited about them. Then we're going to talk about some of the challenges and barriers that refugees have in enhancing and advancing their own career paths, and some of the opportunities for enhancing their economic impact. And then we will leave 10 minutes for questions and answers. I just also wanted to mention this webinar is being recorded. So for those people who couldn't attend, we'll be able to send out a link and they'll be able to participate. Okay, so to get us started, I just want to remind everyone of the Institute's mission, and that's to create opportunities for refugees and immigrants to succeed. We do that through our resettlement program, our education programming, career, work and advancement, and then pathways to citizenship in our legal immigration program. We designed our mission and describe it this way because we're really creating opportunities that make choices possible, and refugees and immigrants come and they do all the work. So this is really about motivating and helping prepare and support people who already have so much skills, so many skills, and so much to contribute. The vision that we have as an organization is sort of, it's very I don't know, I think it's very strong. It's broad, but it's really to help people realize their dreams. And I do think that people who are coming here from experiences of persecution have a dream to start another life, to start a new life and start a better life. And that's really what we would like for them. And at the same time, we're also really committed to New England's growth and prosperity, and what immigrants can do when we welcome, include, and then make them our own. So that's our goal, is to have people really finding their way here, and by doing that, strengthening our communities. I wanted to remind everyone that this work is much older than Cubana and I. It's also much older than anyone's experience today. The work started in 1918 in Lowell and at the International Institute for Young Women, which was part of the YWCA. And I think the work of welcoming and integrating immigrants is the story of this country. And unfortunately, there were Native populations that were impacted by that, that we're thinking of, every day now. But I think everyone, who's here today, that is a part of that, that is not a Native American, is a part of a community that came from another country and resettled here. So in some ways, we're all descendants of resettled refugees. So on that note, what is a refugee? So in today's terms, refugees are people who fled their countries because of persecution, and persecution by certain types of persecution, by race, religion, nationality, political opinion, membership in a social group. And these often are people who go to a different country, called a country of neighboring asylum, and are not able to stay, return to their home country or stay in their country of neighboring asylum, and are designated by the United Nations, are identified and designated by the United Nations as under that circumstance and situation, and then are invited into a process that would put them on a list to be able to resettle in a third country. There's only about less than 1% of the world's refugees get the opportunity to go to that third country. Today, the numbers from the United Nations just came out. There's 26 million people who are designated as refugees, and that is just a fraction of the 82 million people who are displaced around the world. So this is a very special program, but that is not really an opportunity for many people. For those who are coming through the program, they're one of the few people who have this choice, and we, the Institute, we take that really seriously. So, and I'll talk about this a little later, but we're so thrilled that after many recent years of dwindling refugee numbers, we're going to be able to resettle more people this coming year, and hopefully for years to come. In terms of our own, part of the world, I just wanted to mention that IINE has 3 sites in the New England region, 2 in Massachusetts and 1 in Manchester, New Hampshire. So we're in Boston, we're in Lowell, and then we're in Manchester, and we do refugee resettlement as well in Nashua, New Hampshire. But we're also we're the largest, but one of several different organizations who resettle in New England, and they have, or together we have resettlement sites across Massachusetts, in Vermont, and then it's not on this, well, actually it is number 4, and in Maine. There's also a site in Connecticut. And then we are one of hundreds of organizations that work across the country in networks to be able to welcome and coordinate the delivery of services for refugees. quickly, I'll just tell you about the way we do our work and why we do it this way. We developed this theory of change several years ago to organize our work and help people understand why do we deliver the services we deliver. This is basically, we have a continuum of services that we hope to take someone, but from when they're joining us, and the earliest person on this timeline is a refugee whom we go to the airport, Logan Airport, Manchester Airport, and pick up and introduce to the United States and to their community and to a new apartment and to our services. And then a continuum, we have a continuum that helps people sort of get on their feet, get employed, get English language education, get their children into schools, get their basic food and like shelter needs met, get a social security card, really kind of get set up in the US system. And then we have another part of the program that also strives to help people begin to integrate into that system. So upgrading employment after an initial job placement, gaining additional skills, and then also moving people on a continuum toward citizenship. So first we can help them adjust to a green card or a residency status, and then we can help them actually take the citizenship test and apply for legal citizenship. We also think about integration as a journey that sort of never ends. I think we're all being integrated, and at the same time, on individuals being integrated, I think a community is transforming as well. So we see this as sort of a never-ending circle of people working toward growth, prosperity, and ultimately self-sufficiency, where they're then able to welcome and support the next person. I'm going to check the time. Great. So I'm just going to go over some of the services that we have, and then hand it over to Cubana to talk about our employment program. So we offer intensive employment services along our continuum. Reception and placement is what we call our refugee resettlement program. And that really is focused on basic needs for refugees or who are, just getting off a plane in New England and in the US and in our cities. Case management is offered to help people really move through the process of beginning to get acquainted with their community, getting oriented, beginning to think about how to support themselves, because there's actually a very short window between when someone arrives and when they're expected by the US government to support themselves. So we help it with intensive basic needs supports in order to help them achieve that early self-sufficiency. We also have a youth program, which we call Resilient Youth, and we offer two different types of programs. One is a family reunification program that is focused on unaccompanied minors coming across the US-Mexico border, being detained and then released to their families, and that's generally in New England that we work, sometimes outside of New England. And we offer really deep family-based support while children and adults are coming together. The other program is a youth mentoring program that we offer in our Lowell site, where we pair refugee youth with mentors and both help them sort of adjust in schools and participate in schools, but also really begin to think about their futures, think about careers, think about college, and really offer another level of support. Then in every site we have an ESOL, an English for Speakers of Other Languages program, which offers multi-level classes. And we have people, from all over the world who speak a different level of English. Some people are fluent, some people are pre-literate. So we offer many, many different classes, and we try to stack those classes so as someone, moves forward in their English learning, we have the next step for them. And then finally, legal services. And I described that a little earlier: adjustment of status, family reunification services, petitioning for family to come to the US, as well as citizenship. So now I'm going to pass it over to Cubana, who's going to talk about our employment programming and our skills training programs, of which he is the manager in Boston.
Thank you so much, Zan. Before I even go to these details, I'm Kubana again, and I'm also a refugee originally from Rwanda and Congo, came here from Uganda, and I've been here for more than 4 years. So I myself have been also involved in these steps, and I really can testify. For our employment services and skills and career services, so these are like 3 categories, but it depends on the level you are in. So for the employment services, we have job readiness, we have skills development, and we have job placement, and also upgrades. For the industry-based, we just got a good training. It is called a pre-apprenticeship program for the construction, trades, and facility maintenance. That has even had one cohort recently. We have a certified nursing assistant program. We have a licensed nursing assistant. We also have hospitality and health care training program. And all these programs are in various sites in Boston, Manchester, and Law. Like for example, the nursing assistant program, it is in Law. The pre-apprenticeship, we do it here in Boston and Metro North. And of course, the job readiness, it is both in Law site and in Boston. Can we go to the next one? Yes, so for the career pathway. So as you come here as a refugee, like I told you, as a refugee, I also had the opportunity to pass through these steps here that you can see on the screen. And it is really amazing. So you come here in the United States, you don't know what to do. You are received at the airport. Of course, there is food assistance. There's looking for you documents and everything. But again, you need to make money. You need to make money to support the program. I mean, to support yourself, but also to support your family back. So the first thing that IINE does very well is, depending on your level of English, there are several levels that you can go to and learn English as a second language to make sure that you integrate in this society and be able to reach out to the communities. But again, after learning English in that first month, second month, we have some good case workers who are really busy looking for the first job. Again, as a refugee who come here, the first job is always not impressing, but again, you have to make ends meet. You need to get money, and you need to pay bills. So the first job is always really a good step because you already learn the language, and you just go maybe work at the airport as a cleaner, maybe work in the restaurants, work in the grocery stores, or maybe work in like Walmart or Amazon to get you started. However, we don't, like, I have had some organizations somewhere that after they do the first job, they don't even do anything for you. They just leave you and you do your life. But for us, we don't stop from there. We reach out to you again and do what you call job upgrade. That's where the skills training program comes in. We ask you, oh, you've been here for 6 months, you've been here for 1 year, you need to upgrade, right? So that's when we encourage you to attend training such as job readiness training or hospitality training or healthcare training. In that way, you're really in the step of going to work maybe to a certain, like what I can call a professional job, like in the hospital, maybe as a receptionist or maybe as a service environment worker, in the hotel, maybe as a housekeeper or a cook. And these jobs that we try to work with employers that have really made names here in Boston or other sites. And we make sure that you get, we make sure that you have benefit, that job has benefit. Sometimes you even have days off. Sometimes you can even enroll into the programs like 401k that can help you for your retirement. And again, we need to see you succeed. But again, the reason why we do that for the job upgrade, we need you to retain, we need a good retention. We need you to love that job, and also we need you to make sure that there is a retention. So we don't look for you a job that a client can go and be there for 30 days and they leave. They always, we always as case workers or employment specialist. Look for that job that you can be there for more than 1 year, 2 years, and probably even maybe make a career pathway. That's what we call it. That's also the level that we are in. In a career pathway, sometimes you've been working in the hotel for maybe 3 years, 5 years, but also you need to advance. You need to change the industry. That's when you can maybe ask us if you need to work for the example for the construction program that we are doing now, for the nursing certifying assistant program that we are doing. At least you get a certificate that you have done that program, and also you can upgrade and maybe advance in your role. But also I have, like, for example, I can give you like a short story about, I have seen someone, my brother, actually one of my siblings, passing through all these steps, and now he's at the college. So after doing a job upgrade and working in the hotel, he decided also to take some courses, short courses, so that he can join the college. And now he's at Bank Hill Community College. Yeah. Can we go to the next step, please? The next slide.
Sorry. There you go.
All right, so the refugee impact on our economic recovery. So refugees contribute around 16.9 billion to the US economy in a 10-year period, and they pay 20% more in taxes than even they receive in benefits. We all know this when we are, like as a refugee myself, when I'm doing tax returns, I can see how much have I like given as in taxes and how much I'm receiving, and it is really true. But also they desire to rebuild their lives that have meant they are great contributors to the region economies, and most are working age and also employed. By doing COVID-19, many refugees worked as frontline workers and essential workers, as we saw a lot of people switching to working from home. But these refugees, my fellow refugees, continued the work, doing them on a daily basis. They were in a manufacturing area, they were in healthcare, they did the food processing, they did the general services, and so on. So, like a short story, like immigrants make around 1/4 of the US labor force. It is tripled since 1970. However, in Massachusetts, 52,000, that's 77% of refugees are working age, but this is a really good number, 96.7% are all employed. So they don't want to come and become here and become lazy, but they really contribute and also work hard. So there is also, as you see on the chart, on the presentation, there is the percentage according to the countries where they come from. Right now, DRC is topping them at 20%, 20.4%. There is Iraq, that follows, there's Bhutan, there is also Somalia and Ukraine. So refugees in the workforce development by industry, the manufacturing industry is a bit high at 10.3%. Healthcare follows at 14.2%. General services follows at 10%. Retail trade is at 9.9%, and tourism is at 8.8%. I think the retail trade and tourism is a little bit down because of the job upgrade that we've been talking about. Can we go to the next slide? How about now? Because of COVID, of course, for the past 1.5 years, there is an economic recovery impact on refugees. As you can see in this, the chart that we have made, it shows the services and how how these refugees were affected. So many refugees employed in hospitality and food beverage industries saw a disappropriate job losses and slower pace of employment opportunities. Like as we even talk to now, the hospitality industry has started working again, booming again. But again, experts say it will take around 3 years to come to the normal pace that it used to have around 2019. Economic recovery also deeply, it is unequal wage workers in services industry and women bearing brand of the downtown. There's also lack of saving, that meaning there is rapid income destabilization and much harder recovery. But if you look at the percentage, for example, in the education service, there is around 11%, professional and business service is 50%. So in all these areas, there was really a change in percentage that really made an impact. All right, so, but again, as we pass through those tough times in COVID-19, and I remember in March 2020 last year, I think we had our staff meeting around in April, but we really, as an International Institute of New England, we responded quickly. We responded as much as we can because we had a lot of calls. Caseworkers couldn't even sleep, text calls. They were like, how can we be helped? We don't know how long is it going to take for us to go back to jobs. How can you help us to apply for food assistance? How can you help us to apply for unemployment benefit? And you look at this chart, it is based on the month of Feb to the month of May. You really look at how IINE really responded in terms of numbers. So, and also in terms of the areas like education, emergency cash assistance, employment, food and supplies, housing coordination, public benefits, unemployment reapplication, wellness check, and youth. So we came up with systems to help individuals according to their needs. And we would receive people who need, maybe who would want help in housing, and we helped coordinate that. We would receive people who need for the unemployment application, and our caseworkers would really come in and help people to get such benefits. We would need, I think the big area was for food and supplies, where you see the numbers in are really a bit high. And as the month went on, it went on like increasing, as you can see, to around like 418 individuals in the month of May. And I think also another industry that was really, the month in food supply also March also. For food supply, it is the one that was really a big concern, and I'm really proud to say that our team really did a great job towards responding to this pandemic. But again, we cannot talk about pandemic COVID, as we know it is here to stay, and we are trying to work and make sure that we provide the services that our clients need. So like a few months ago, we started this program for construction, trade, and building maintenance program in collaboration with the Metro North Workforce Board, the neighborhood developers, the associated builders of Massachusetts, and also IINE companies. And we got a funding through the Workforce Trust Competitive Fund. And it is for around 2 years to have around 3 cohorts. That it is a 10-week course that is offered for unemployed and underemployed Metro North residents. So underemployed, we mean those people who are paid around $15.46 an hour, or they work part-time. And the Metro North area, it includes cities like Via, Everett, Winthrop, Chelsea, Malden, Medford, and others. There are around like 20 cities. And if you look at these cities, there's a high percentage of people who are refugees, who are immigrants, and who need such support. If you can go to the next step. Yes, so the spotlight about this is that for as an organization, as IINE, we are the ones actually managing and implementing this program. We make sure we do the job readiness, 48 hours of job readiness training, focusing on how to edit their resumes, making good, nice cover letter. It focuses on interviewing skills, it focuses on workplace etiquette, it focuses on good customer service, focuses on effective communication, problem solving, networking, but also we go beyond and calling employers to come and give information interviews and probably even give their first interviews to the students. And the good thing about this program, once you complete, you automatically look for you opportunities to have an apprenticeship program in either construction trades or facility maintenance. But also there's also 90 hours of construction, facilities, maintenance, and introductory training. We also have OSHA classes that takes for OSHA training that takes 12 hours. We have 4 hours of financial literacy. We do also have 6 hours of hoisting certification prep. So all in all, it is a 10-week program that you have to come every day, Monday to Friday, 4 hours a day. It is in the evening. And in total, you complete around 160 hours and you qualify to go to apply for an apprenticeship position that you need, that you desire. Right now, we have placed around 50% of the first cohort, of the first 15 students that we started with. They are working as electricians, they are working as facility maintenance tech ones. They are working as HVAC, in HVAC positions. They are also working as, another one is working as, I think a plumbist, is a plumber, yes. I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kubana. And as Kubana said, what we've noticed at the Institute after many years is, there's industries that are very strong in Massachusetts and New Hampshire that are growing, but are also having incredible challenges, recruiting skilled workforce and retaining them. And at the same time, there are many, many immigrants who are both new to our communities or have been in our communities for a while, who have a baseline of skills and language, but have all these barriers to connecting to the training opportunities that would move them toward this skilled labor market, particularly in manufacturing and in healthcare. So what we've designed with the construction and building maintenance programs really is a experiment with many different really committed partners that come from all sectors of that industry to come together and build a program together that takes a mainstream program and really customizes it for someone who's either new to the workforce or is learning the language and has some other important barriers. It could be transportation, it could be childcare. I think COVID pandemic has exposed the, everyone is suffering in certain, slightly different ways, and really exposed the amount of resources people need and they don't have access to. So as Kubana said, like the construction program, our certified nursing assistant program was an idea developed by our, at that point, Lowell managing director and now our chief program officer. We worked with Middlesex Community College in Lowell and the Abbasi Adult Learning Center. We have funding from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. We worked with employers and we put together a program that would address the short of CNAs and home health aides in the Merrimack Valley. 15% of Massachusetts nurses are foreign born. 36% of Massachusetts health aides are foreign born. And those numbers could be even higher if there were more accessible pathways, which we're trying to create. And similarly, about 5% of nurses in New Hampshire are foreign born, 11% of health aides. And we get calls at our Manchester site every day from hospitals, healthcare facilities, nursing homes, asking if we have an available pathway or pipeline of people. And of course we do, but they're not trained. And we need funding for that training, and the training really needs to be designed and to work well. So we're in the pilot phase of our construction program, and our certified nursing assistance program is a couple of years strong. And this summer, we're actually moving it to our Manchester site in collaboration with the Manchester Community College. So this program is an 18-week course. Again, in designing it, we had to figure out how to make it accessible to people who are either new to the US or are newer to the US or are learning the language. So we developed a contextualized component to the program, which is English language instruction and additional supports. And that's matched with a 144-hour LNA apprenticeship program. So I'm using LNA and CNA interchangeably. In Massachusetts, it's called a certified nursing assistant, and in New Hampshire, they're called licensed nursing assistants. We have, just spotlighting one of our graduates, whose name is Jessie. She graduated our CNA program last year. And she says, coming to the US, let me move my screen, I did not know not know English, and my options were very limited. Again, someone sort of here, ready to work, available to work, but stuck. Now I have a chance to learn and to become a certified nursing assistant. We gave her a sort of a pathway. It's all up to her, but we extended a hand to be a partner in helping her access this industry. And it pushes me more and more to work hard to achieve my goal. So, I mean, again, like going back to our vision is for people to have dreams and to have their dreams realized. And, one of the ways to do that is to make sure that they have accessible steps that they can take that moves them from one opportunity to the next. This is all pretty basic, it's hard to really recognize this doesn't actually happen for a lot of people. There needs to be active involvement, new partnerships, and new thinking and creative thinking around how to put these pathways together. Having said that, I'll just talk a little bit about our challenges and opportunities, and then we'll have some time for questions. So the challenges for refugees in trying to advance, as like Cubana said, we do a lot of work to get people into the workforce at an entry level. Almost every job takes about 6 months of prior employment. So we're really trying to get people that immediate employment that will help them sort of orient to the US workforce, kind of sort of teach them or be a context for them to kind of get into, habits around getting to work, taking transportation, practicing English. And then we have a huge challenge in sort of creating the opportunities of moving people beyond that point. And for many refugees, they're working so hard and so long, they have a real, and just to afford their basic needs, that they have a real challenge in finding the time to get to a next step. And many people, as Alex said, like in the construction program, it's at night, and many people work during the day, or they work part-time shifts. And then they're doing, the training, and then they get an apprenticeship, and then they can, hopefully put it all together with one job that pays a more substantial wage. And I'm sorry, I'm frozen. So I'm going to see what I can do. Oops, sorry. So I'll go back. So I'm sorry, I'm frozen. Hopefully you can still hear me. So what do we need to recognize? We need to recognize that state level licensing requirements need reform to allow people who are already licensed in their home countries and have developed skills there, or in other parts of the world, to be able to bring those skills here and be recognized, not have to start at the beginning where they can't even afford to start, because they're working so hard just to make ends meet. Number two, we need a greater investment in our English language programs and funding for those programs, in skills training programming. We've seen some movement in Massachusetts and New Hampshire to better resource programs for immigrant communities, but there still needs to be, I think, additional support. It's actually very expensive to train somebody appropriately to enter one of these industries. I think the average for our costs and other partner provider costs is about $10,000 a person. And it takes a couple of years. And again, people go through multiple experiences and career steps and laddering. But to combine English language programming with skills training that is both education-based and technically based, it is very expensive. The third issue is transportation barriers. Immigrants, from undocumented immigrants to refugees, we have a huge problem of people not really getting access, being able to get access to driver's licenses. That starts with the driver's preparation course, and goes all the way to a license, for which you usually need a car in order to practice, and then also having access to vehicles. These are major challenges for our communities. In our Boston site, people can find it easier because there's a lot of public transportation, but for example, the commuter rail is very, very expensive. So that is a barrier to accessing certain job opportunities. And then finally, for a very long time, for more than just refugee and immigrant communities, but certainly for them, quality employment with family sustaining wages, the opportunity to work one job and support your family, has been a great challenge. I think before the pandemic, the labor market was very tight. Now that there's a labor shortage, so we do see some, I guess, movement from employers around making more opportunities for quality jobs and raising wages, but we really need to see much more investment in workforces. So at the same time that there are challenges, there are also opportunities, and it's really through enhancing refugee support, I think will enhance their economic impact. That will happen hopefully because one of the ways is because refugees are going to be welcomed into the US in new numbers. The Biden administration has raised the refugee ceiling from a almost decimated level to, I think it's 62,500 people this year. Because the systems overseas and in this country have been disrupted, we will probably not see people arriving in those numbers, but those systems are being rebuilt. We are working really hard to rebuild our systems when someone enters the country, and we are there to support them. We're hoping that starting next year, and we go through by federal fiscal year, it starts in October, that we're really going to start seeing a lot of families. And next year's arrivals, the ceiling will probably be set at 125,000, which is a number we just haven't, seen before, at least, in the last, 30 years. So refugee arrivals will increase as the program is being rebuilt, and the federal government has a new commitment to the resettlement program. So we're thrilled by that, and we hope it lasts. We hope it's not just one administration's commitment. We hope it's a lasting commitment. Second, fortunately, there is new stimulus funding for career advancement, and we're working really closely to understand how that funding is being channeled through what state-based processes and which partners we can engage to access some of that funding for our communities. Unfortunately, short-term funding only goes so far. It takes us a long time to build a really good, sustainable, and successful program. But every time we get a chance, we start to develop something we think will be even more supportive for our clients. And Cubana's program is a great example of that, as well as our expansion of the refugee program to, of the LNA program to Manchester. New energy for institutional partnerships. I think one of the, I'm going to try my video again. Yay. One of the opportunities that we've had through COVID is that people are looking around them and thinking about all new ways to serve people, and really realizing, like I said, some of the huge inequalities and inequities that COVID has exposed, but also thinking about ways to close some of those gaps. And I think realizing, as COVID sort of was commonly shared, we can't do this alone. We have to engage our systems and representation from those systems, across those systems, to make a difference. Like I think I touched on, labor shortage is pushing employers to review wages and the quality of their positions. I think, we've heard a lot recently about people sort of, maybe who are unemployed, sort of staying on the sidelines, realizing that when they re-enter the workforce, they would like to, not work for poverty wages, to be able to work for higher wages that supports them and their families if they have the choice. I think as support and unemployment support dwindles, people have fewer and fewer choices, but hopefully during this time, employers will begin to address the quality of those positions and the level of those wages. And then finally, and I'm so glad everyone today is joining us to hear this, but there's been a lot of really incredible private support that we've gotten over the last 18 months for sure, but a couple of years. And we have foundations and we have individual donors who are very interested in investing in the immigrant community, and who have helped us. A lot of our funding is public, but it only covers about half of all of our expenses. And I mentioned how expensive quality programming can be. So the private funders have helped us bridge some of those gaps. And I'm so thrilled that more and more funders are being, I think, really impacted by COVID and what's happening in the reopening of the refugee program, and really looking for ways to support a much longer pathway and a much deeper pathway for communities, and help us develop career pathways. So on that note, would love to get this going. Would love to take any questions. And I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but if you could use, if anyone has a question and could use chat, that would be great. I'm gonna try to unfreeze myself again. And we'll see, we'll just, wait a minute or two to see if there are questions. And again, this is being recorded, so if you go back over it and look at it again and have a question, we are always available. Okay, well, I don't see questions in the chat. I wanted to just, put my contact information out there. Through, connecting to me, you can connect with Cubana, you can connect with others of the organization, you can connect to learn more information. And it would be wonderful to hear from you. And certainly if you have any questions or would like more information, we would love to hear from you. And then finally, I just wanted to remind everyone that this work is not only a federal commitment. The federal government allows the opportunity for refugees to come together into the US, but we rely on individual supporters. Again, I'm having trouble with my screen, to really support us. So I think that last slide was really just a focus on, and I'm going to try to get to the end so you can see the website. A focus on really checking out our website and learning more about what we're doing. We post a lot. We have impact information, program information, and really thinking about donating, because as we're rebuilding, we're going to need also the support that we can get. But we also are really looking for investment in some of these training programs that will just create a new and extended and expanded opportunity for refugees to, like I said in the beginning, realize their dreams. So thank you so much. Cubana, did you want to say any last thoughts?
All right, thank you so much, everyone who has attended this. It was informative, and please consider a donation in case you are interested in seeing more success stories like this one.
Like Cubana's.
Yes.
Cubana is actually someone who was supported by the Institute and now has been supporting others through the Institute for years. So
Sure, yeah.
wonderful story. So thank you everyone for spending an hour with us. Again, this recording will be distributed, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and week.
Thank you.